done this every month for the last year, just about. But this is the first time Brad's been with me, so it makes it so special. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why Brad is such a big part of this story. But I just, first of all, want to say thank you all for coming. This has been an amazing year. If you had have asked me a year and 3 weeks ago if I would be standing here in a year, I would have told you you were absolutely nuts. You couldn't have paid me to believe that I would be standing here in a room full of people. This just would not have happened. Some people I haven't seen in years. Some people I've seen, twice since I've graduated, and they're in this room and they're business partners with me. So even that alone would have been absurd. To think that this journey has led us to here is just amazing. So I'm just going to start and tell you a little bit about our story and how Roadian & Fields came into our life. So roll back years and years to 2009. At that time, let's see, so that was 7 years ago, we had just got back from a beach trip. We had a great beach trip. Everything was great. We went to the lake the next weekend, played, skied. Brad drove the boat all weekend. Everything was great. Then Monday comes, and it is July 26th, and we are, 26th, July 26th. We are at cheerleading practice for the girls' rec cheerleading squad. Brad is on a co-ed softball team over at Deer Lick Park, which is just right down the road from here, and he is playing co-ed softball, which he's played ball all his life. Went to college on a baseball scholarship. So him playing ball was just part of our life. So he's off doing that. I've got the girls at practice, and my cell phone rings, and I answer it, and a friend says, "Hey, Carrie," and it said Brad's name, and I was like, "Hey, what you doing?" I was like, because it was a male voice, but it wasn't Brad. And I said, "Well, I'm at cheerleading practice. Where's Brad?" And he said, "Well, he got hurt." And I said, "He got hurt? What's wrong with him?" And I said, "I thought he was at Deer Lick playing." He said, "Well, he is. He's hurt his leg, and we're gonna go ahead and get him to the hospital. I was just gonna let you know." "I'll come get him. I can be there in 15 minutes. I'll come get him." We've already called the ambulance, and so we're going. The ambulance for what? He hurt his leg. What do you mean he hurt his leg? Why would you need to call the ambulance for a hurt leg? How bad is his leg hurt? "Well, it's hurting pretty bad, and we just don't really know. We don't really want to try to mess with it ourselves." "Okay." Brad's friend on the phone says, "And maybe it's just dislocated or something like that, but it's hurting him." So we're just going, okay. Still, I'm trying to process, like, why would you call the ambulance for you hurt your leg? That just didn't quite click with me. So, nonetheless, I scrambled to gather up my stuff. It was July, 1,000,000 degrees on a humid football field, about 6:30 at night. I go in a full sprint through the football players to the other side of the field where my girls were both at different squads practicing, and I said, "Come on, we gotta go. We gotta go check on Daddy." And they're like, "What?" My mom said I gotta go. So here they go. They're gone. They walk over to me. I'm like, "It's okay. Just get your stuff. Get your bag. Come on, let's go." I threw my chairs to my friend Stephanie. I said, "Stephanie, get these chairs. I gotta go." She's like, "Well, you need help?" I'm like, "No, I just gotta go check on Brad. He's hurt his leg." Hurt his leg? Still. I'm like, "I don't know." They call it, we leave. Get in the car, call my mom. "Mother, they said Brad hurt his leg, and I'm going to the hospital. You gotta make me get the girls." He's going to the hospital? So it was just, hurt your leg and going to the hospital just didn't seem like, how could this be? He's that hurt. So I beat the ambulance there, sitting in the bay. I don't see him mercy. So my dad meets me there. I drop the kids at a restaurant where my mom and dad were eating. Daddy jumps in the car with me, and we go to the hospital. So let me just, long story short, he broke his leg really bad. He broke his knee from the top of his tibia. So it's called a tibia plateau fracture. And I had never heard of a tibia plateau fracture ever. But they are apparently one of the worst breaks you could possibly have. The doctor comes in and says, "We're gonna need to do some surgery." And I was like, "He just hurt his leg. What do you mean?" He shows the screen. And needless to say, I mean, you just saw it and you knew that it was really bad. So we were at one hospital for 3 days, and then we were transferred. So a total of 11 days our first stay. And then they put immobilizer, a fixer on his leg. He had 2 screws in the top and 2 in the bottom, and it had a metal rods coming on the exterior part. So it's like a cage around his leg, and that was to get the swelling to go down so they could even open his leg up and try to do something with the bone reconstruction. So, you know, we had to bring him home with that on his leg. So after 11 days, we bring him home with that on his leg. So if you can only imagine the pain that was, and you know, I had 2 little girls at the time. So it was hard. Then we had to go back in for surgery to take those rods out and try to repair the leg. 2 plates about this long and 15 screws. Later, we come home for 10 weeks and he's non-weight bearing. So that means you cannot step down on his foot at all because it was not ready to have any weight on it. So needless to say, it was hard. It was tough. It wasn't just a little hurt his leg. But I said all that to say the way I felt sitting in that hospital room was horrific. He looks over at me and says, "You need to call this guy right here in my phone." I mean, he's sweating. He's got mud on him. He had mud for 3 days. We couldn't touch him. He was in so much pain. He looks over and says, "You got to call this guy. I'm supposed to be there at 8 in the morning." I'm like, "Okay, I'll call him. So I have to go out in the hall and call his customer and tell him that Brad was hurt and I was just give me a couple of days and I'll get back with you. Somebody will get back with you. I mean, I really didn't even know what I was even saying to the man. I'm sure he thought I was stark raving crazy. But he was so understanding. "Oh yes, you just tell him, you know, if I can do anything to help." I mean, just so sweet. All his customers were so sweet. At the time, and still now, but he was early on in his business. So that was in 2009, so that was 7 years ago. So he was only 3 years into his business because he started in 2006. So a 3-year-old business that you were the sole proprietor, you run it, you do the books, you do everything, you measure the jobs. The only thing he didn't do was physically do the work, and sometimes he had to do that too. So he just had to do what he had to do because it's a one-man gig. So when you're in a hospital bed and you're a one-man show, you do not make any money. I mean, we might have had a few invoices out, but that was just a few. It wasn't even much. So what we had was what we had. So sitting in that hospital room thinking, "Oh my goodness, I did not work at the time. We had been blessed to be able to keep me at home. That was our plan from the beginning, and we were able to do it. Aside from just a few different days of the month or days of the year that I would go in and work at the apparel mart, I really had been at home the whole time. So I didn't have a way to just say, instant money, I'm going to go out and do something. Besides the fact that, he couldn't even go to the bathroom. So that wouldn't have been possible anyway. It was a helpless feeling, thinking, what in the world are we going to do? He has to drive a truck with a clutch that's the size of this room to get his rig from place to place. He has to climb a ladder to measure jobs in the rafters of buildings on scaffolding. Like, how are we gonna do this? So it was just a scary feeling. So that injury took us 2 years to get him to where he could really use his leg again. 4 surgeries over 2 years. It was a struggle. We were so blessed with friends and family that helped us out and pitched in and did different things. They drove the truck for him. They would help him measure. He worked from I have pictures of him getting in. They were loading him on the ambulance, and he's on the phone talking to a customer. He literally had, because that was how we paid our bills, and there was nothing that I could do to cover the bills that we had immediately. So fast forward to 2012, January or February. I think January. He calls me and says, well, no, it was a big ice storm. First thing happened was a big ice storm in January. He's on the way back from Birmingham, and his truck, he slides back down a hill, and the trailer attached to his truck with all of his employees in it tumbles down backwards in the hill, and he flips side, side, side. The trailer comes apart, and that's our business. That's my life and the business right there. So he calls me. It's in the middle of, I'm trying to get the kids out of school because it's just pandemonium is happening. It's 12 o'clock in the middle of the day. He's trying to get back home from Birmingham and get his guys back home before it even hits even worse. And he calls me, just couldn't even hardly speak, and I'm okay, but you're gonna have to trauma, horrific phone call to get. He hitchhikes, him and all of his crew ride with a man to the next exit. He just leaves everything, spread out everything we owned that ran our business on the side of the road, and went to an exit. And me and my dad got to him and picked him up from a gas station, and we had to start over because that was how we paid our bills. That was what we did our work with, and it was all up and down the side of I-20. So that was a long couple of months getting that back. We had customers obviously the next day. We were blessed with a growing business. It had continued to grow even through all that he went through in 2009. It was continuing to grow, so he was even busier. So it was even harder to go without his rig in 2009 than it was in 2006. So fast forward to April of that year, after we just got everything back on its feet, and we got everything, putting together what he does. I'll let him tell you a little bit about his business, but putting together what he does is not just like, let's go buy a new truck. It is a rig that houses the entire business in the back. So it's not just get a new truck so you can drive from point A to point B. It's specialty equipment that has to be custom made for what you're doing. So it's not easy to just snap your fingers. Even if you had the money, which we didn't, you couldn't just get another one tomorrow. So in 2012, in April, he calls me in the most unbelievable voice, not the same, but just another traumatic phone call. He's like, you're not gonna believe this. I'm like, what, are you okay? I mean, the truck just caught on fire and burned to the ground. The truck burned to the ground? I don't know what you're talking about. The truck burned? How did it burn? What made it burn? He said, I don't know. I walked outside and the truck was on fire. I tried to put it out. I got water hoses up, everything I could do, and it burned. My dad, all the people at my dad's shop were there, and the truck exploded and burned to the ground. It was an electrical fire inside the truck. Like I said, this big, huge rig that was new burned to the ground. So three humongous things: broke his leg, truck gets flipped and ruined, truck burns down 3 months later. I knew then in 2012 I had to do something because I could not stand this helpless feeling of no way to do anything. I couldn't just go, just because this $80,000 truck is demolished, there was nothing I could do, but I could take a little bit of load off of his shoulders, thinking that there would be some money coming in to buy groceries, to do what we could do till the insurance money come in, because like I said, he couldn't work because he had nothing to work with. So that is when I made the decision to start to find something that was a way to bring in money, but not take away from what we worked so many years to keep me at home, to just pull out and do that. A lot of people say, I wanted to stay at home when they were little, and honestly, if I could choose, I think I would rather stay at home when they're older, because I think when they're older and they have more freedom and they can come and go as they want, when that parent or somebody is not there, from 3 o'clock to whenever you can manage to get home from your job at 7 o'clock, what is that window of time for them to do? There's nothing for them to do. So I really knew we were about to hit that stage, and I just didn't want to commit to a job that would keep me, anything that I had that I could go to would have kept me in Atlanta until 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So I just knew that wasn't what we needed to do. So I looked at several different opportunities. My sister and I even went to a couple of shows. We were gonna open a boutique. There was a lot of different things I wanted to do, but I just didn't have the funds to start it up, because it was everything that I looked at, we'd call and get a price for it. It was just astronomical. And to have that money, banks do not give business loans like that. They're not gonna say, here's your $50,000 to buy your inventory. I hope you sell it and hope we get our money back. They're not gonna do that. And so I just didn't have the capital to start anything like that. And that's when Brad came in. He had watched me look for opportunities. He never pushed me to do anything. He was okay with being the only one with the financial burden. He never complained. He never, not one time, said, you're gonna have to get a job. He never said that, not once. Even when he wanted me to do this, he did not ever say that. But I wanted to, because I wanted to pull my part, and I didn't ever want to feel that fear of helplessness like I had felt when those phone calls happened, that they can just happen. Nobody knows what is going to happen.